Welcome to FrankJavCee FM, the number one future funk podcast in the universe. I'm joined with my fantastic, fabulous friend Fibre, and we're ready to have a conversation. Fibre, how are you?
I'm doing lovely. How about you, Frank?
I am fully caffeinated and ready to have a conversation with you. Can you tell I scripted this all from the beginning?
Yes, a little bit, but it's okay.
I was actually like taking a shower this morning, and that was like the first thing that came to mind. I was like, I want to start off by saying, like, we weren't always friends, were we?
No, we weren't. We were perhaps maybe sworn enemies.
Yeah, we were ops. We were definitely ops when we first met each other.
That was really weird.
A lot of people tell us it's like what's it called? Enemy to lovers arc. Do you believe that?
Maybe more closer to frenemies, but
Yeah,
like
frenemies.
that's not me rejecting you, just so you know. Okay?
Yeah.
There's always hope.
Yeah, I mean, how long have we known each other? I feel like we've known each other at least a decade now.
Yes, like known of each other. I mean, so like when we hated one another, like I think that you came to know about me because I had a loud mouth and like I was complaining about you on Reddit, which is one of the lamest things that I could possibly say.
Do you still go on Reddit?
Occasionally, like I mean, I think that there's just like it's unfortunately like the last like it's kind of like the last like dying like representation of like what forums used to be in the old internet, and a lot of like information is and like experiences from other people are unfortunately gate kept on that site. But I can't stand it half the time. Like I
wrote a whole song about you. How do you feel about that?
That is, you know what's so funny about that song? Okay, so like my wife Sarah, like used to be a huge super mega fan. When that disc came out, and for context for people that like kind of don't know how the disc came to be, and what was the name of it? Like Omega Wave, like
Omega Wave, 1986, because that's who we sampled. It was Omega Tribe, and it was like a song called 1986, and we sampled it, and we just like cut it up, put a sidechain kick and snare on it. But yeah, you know what's funny to me is like this comes full circle. I recorded that in the Game Grumps office.
Yes. That is wild to me. There's a lot of overlap there, and it's very interesting because like it's a lot of overlap over like the YouTubers that like that like Sarah would you know watch.
It was a charged song is all I gotta say, but now it's like a cult classic. I always perform it in my sets.
Yes, and you every time now you mention it, it's like this is a diss track that I did for my friend Fibre that I used to hate. But now we are very close friends, which is heartwarming. Yeah, for people, I guess for like, you know, others who don't know, it was because like I complained about like your how to make future funk tutorial. Like I thought that it was making a mockery out of the genre, and I used to be a bit of a cop when I was like 16, 17 about that, because I was also personally like deeply insecure about like my own production like abilities, and a lot of people at the time were like writing off future funk as this like this joke genre when I took it and my friends took it very seriously. And so when people would do that and like would make light of it, I would personally feel attacked by that, and I sort of like, you know, like projected that to other people by basically telling them, oh, you're not like serious enough, or oh, you know, like I'm gonna like police your tone when it comes to this because I'm serious about it, which was really stupid at the time. But yeah, like I called you out basically, and then you were like, diss track coming soon. Yeah.
Which and it had a full music video and everything. It was a good track. Like, you know what's funny is Anthony Fantano said it was the best track I had ever made in my life.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. You know, there's the inspiration, right? Give me 15% of royalties. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But no, I do remember as well, like seeing that. I don't know if I ever told you this, but I remember like somebody sending me the diss track because I actually missed it when it was released, and like somebody sent it to me and was like, hey, I think this is about you, like about like the interaction that you had. And I remember I remember listening to it and being like, well, how fucking lame. He didn't even name drop me. Whatever.
Well, that was the whole point, was like, you know, I wanted to just be like some future funk producer. Some people thought it was Young Bae. It was funny. You were talking about like, you know, that era of like future funk not being taken seriously. I remember I followed Macross on Twitter in like 2015 after that came out. And then they tweeted like "Future Funk isn't a meme" as soon as I followed them, and I was like, "Oh my god."
Yeah. I also kind of cooked Macross like in a Facebook group for Future Society Collective, which was like the first like major like the first like larger net label that I was like involved with.
Yeah.
I don't know, like I was on like a bit of a rampage when I was a kid, and ever since then I very much like come around to like, the idea of being nice to others and like forgiving them, and also just understanding that like my perspective on things is not the end all be all. It doesn't like, just because like I take something seriously does not necessarily mean that I'm in the right or I'm like superior musically or morally to other people. But yeah, I used to make a lot of enemies, and like the moment that I realized that is when I, met you. We had an opportunity to meet because of the Groove Continental pop-up, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. That was
Right.
2022, right?
22, or yes, it was 22, and I got robbed. I
Yeah,
got
that was
robbed like
insane. That whole
right
era was
after,
crazy.
because like I apologized to you because I was like,
Mhm.
I'm sorry. I was being an asshole to you, right? Like, and so we talked it out, and I felt really good about it. I was telling, Sarah, I'm so glad that I've patched things up with Frank. I feel like this is like a new beginning for me, and like accepting other people and like making friends in the scene. And then I show up to my car that we have foolishly parked right next to not Graffiti Alley. Sorry, a Baltimore moment.
Skid
Skid Row.
Row. Yeah.
Skid Row, with the back hatchback window fully blown out, and like thousands of dollars of electronics, jewelry gone, because our Airbnb wasn't ready to check in yet. And so I
Mhm.
lost like nearly everything. That was fucking crazy. Like, it was like that really sweet moment. And then like they took like the damn asthma inhalers and like took like my raggedy ass shoes and was like, "What are those?" and like dropped them on the ground. It was like disrespectful,
That's
you know?
crazy. How
Yeah.
how did you grow from that experience? Like when that happened to you, was there like a before and after Fibre moment where it's like, I don't
Yeah.
know, did it change your perspective on things?
Absolutely. No, because I think that, it was already during a time of like huge change for me, and like acceptance of other people, and trying
Mhm.
to like I sort of realized that I was trying far too hard to mature when I was younger. I wanted to be seen as somebody who was mature, but I didn't know like the first thing about that. And
Yeah.
so um it was also a time where like I started to very much value, like the community that I have, not just in terms of like my fans and like, the people that listen to my music, but like my real life friends, and
Mhm.
valuing those people in my life. And so that was definitely like a moment where, these things were happening, and I'm also getting this crazy opportunity to, perform alongside like Young Bay and some other massive people, as a part of like these connections that we got just from, being nice to people. Like, I mean, the Star Guardian stuff that I did was literally just because I was nice to Young Bay's manager. and
Mhm.
and like he just was like, this is, you're cool, so I'm thinking about doing this thing with Riot, can you help me recruit people for it? I was actually one of the people that recruited for Star Guardian.
Oh, nice. I
Talia.
remember that was a big deal in the future funk scene
Yeah.
at the time. But it was also like a weird catch-22. It's like, we want all these future funk artists, but you can't have samples. And it was like, who could
Yes,
actually
that was a
produce?
big thing. That was a big thing. The other thing that was really funny, and I think it's okay to reveal this because it's like, there's like, I don't think there's really NDA on like this like aspect of the meeting that I had with Riot. But I
Yeah.
remember at one point one of the people like asking me like that work there, "Hey, do you play League of Legends? Do you play League?"
Mhm.
And I was like I've played it a couple of times before, but like I never stuck with it because I felt like the player base was like kind of toxic. And they
Yeah.
sort of laughed and were like, "Yeah, I don't blame you at all for that." Damn. Like, y'all are cooking your own game. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
At least they're
Yeah.
self-aware. My friend tried to get me to play it once, but he was like kind of like a super neat and like out of nowhere was like, "Oh, you don't need to do the tutorial, just play." And I played and I had no idea what the hell I was doing. I was
I
like, "This
just
is
had
so convoluted."
Yeah, it was convoluted, and like the other team is like shouting slurs at me like over chat, and it was just like
Yeah.
too much. And like they were like my friends like who do play League, they were like, "I swear this is like really fun and whatever." And I'm just like, I don't know, I feel like I'm being bullied like right
Yeah.
now. So I just like never really stuck with it. But I like MMORPGs, like, that sort of thing. I had played Dota in like the past, WoW to an extent, but it was never like something that I think the thing that maybe was the closest to those styles of games that I played consistently was like maybe MapleStory,
Oh wow,
like
I didn't
way
know you
back
had
in the day.
these arcs. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. There was also one that was like kind of like MapleStory, but it was like a bit like I don't know. It's like a very vague memory, but it's like it was called like Battle on something, and it was like kind
Mhm.
of like chibi knights and like mages and witches and wizards and all of those sorts of things. So yeah.
Would you say that, like, anime has influenced your aesthetic and music as well? Because I know you have, like, a lot of
Yeah.
cute, like, anime, cover art.
Yes, I do. Yes. And like I mean, you can see like I
Mhm.
embrace that. I mean, I'm wearing something from this artist named Kuru that 713, I believe her name
Mhm.
is. Who like did a lot of the like art and whatnot for, Event Horizon, which is like the
Nice.
gig that I do with for my record label Montem. And so like yeah, there is definitely like that aspect of it that like I've embraced. 'Cause, like, at one point, like, I was very, like, anti-anime, like,
Really?
um
When was
yeah, I
this?
was. This was around the time where I was, like, an annoying Redditor. Like,
Yeah.
because, like, I loved anime when I was, like, maybe 13, and then,
Mhm.
like, in school because, like, at least at my middle school and high school, people were, like, super cliquey. This was,
Mhm.
like, not something that had caught on and was, like, a part of, like, mainstream, like, the cultural zeitgeist or whatever you wanna call it.
Yeah.
So people made fun of me when they found out that, like, I was, like, watching anime, and so I, like, stopped watching it. Like,
Aw.
I and then, like, I didn't watch anime for probably something like I was gonna say 6 or 7 years. Don't say it. Don't say it. But, like, yeah, and then I sort of, like, repressed that, and so, like, I always joke around that, like, I was a bit of a closeted weeb when it comes to
Yeah.
that sort of thing. But the artwork that I do now is, like, me trying to at least, like, embrace, the things that I do like about, like, anime and Japanese animation, Japanese, like, art styles, but also like pulling in things from my own culture as somebody who was born in Romania and and so like I do try to pull from those things and those things do show up often in my music. Like the Event Horizon girl is also
Mhm.
like on the cover to Virtue's Deluxe and also Virtue's remixes and like a lot of the singles because she's my mascot,
Yeah.
right? But I've never revealed that like outwardly up until this point. Right. And
Yeah.
she's like the blue green haired girl that like pops up that I'm kind of trying to develop into a character.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, so there is a lot of that and I do pull some of that influence. I like artists who tastefully do this. Like
Mhm.
I like for example what Moe Shop has done with Puya, like their mascot. And that kind of like turned from I have the pure tape. I could pull it out. Like,
Yeah.
um, this like Photoshop like character where it's like you're just tinting this like anime character like pink that like
Mhm.
it's probably like from something else that they source, and then like really fleshing it out into its own character and like representative of like, and I think that that's a huge part of like identity, and if you're going to brand yourself in anything that you're doing creatively, especially when it comes to music. And people do eat this shit up. It just so happens
Yeah.
I like it as well.
It's like an aesthetic, logo and branding, like, I know it's gonna be a future funk event if the flyer has an anime girl on it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And like, I mean, even things like my logo, like the new
Mhm.
Fibre logo, this is like very celestial, but it also is inspired off of, my own personal experiences when it comes to, like the things that I'm obviously influenced around me. But also
Yeah.
this harkens back to what is it? Like archaic Orthodox like scripture, like
Oh,
Christian, like
interesting.
Eastern
Yeah.
Orthodox scripture, because Romania is a very, heavily inspired, like religiously speaking, like most people are Eastern Orthodox. And so when you
Yeah.
go into churches, like especially old churches in Romania, you'll see a
Mhm.
lot of archaic, like writing that because we used to use Cyrillic in the 1800s like for our alphabet, and then it turned, we started using a Latin alphabet. But
Mhm.
that style, that like very interesting style, like especially like on like the B and the R, like the
Yeah.
E as well, like those sorts of like stylizations like are in like, like the entire church. Like they're just all around you, like on the walls. And in Prophecy, the cover to Prophecy, if you look behind this like door that goes to like a portal to outer space, you'll see the lyrics of Prophecy like kind of embossed into this like pink wall that is exactly of that style. And so like I do try to put in like small callbacks to like my culture and my heritage in many different ways.
That's so interesting. I never saw the connection to that, but like it's so cool how you are like the summation of all your influences. Like I see in your studio right there, like everything that is a piece of you is like projected on your wall, and that becomes you, you know? Speaking
Right.
about Romanian heritage, one of my favorite memories is we're at karaoke and you sing that one Romanian techno song like perfectly. And we're there
Oh
with
yeah.
Groovy Kaiju, and Aaron goes like, how do you know the lyrics of this? And you're like, in between beats, you're like, oh, it's Romanian. Then you keep going on. Do you
I'm
remember
Romanian,
what
yeah.
song it was?
Exactly. Yeah, it's Dragostea din Tei by Ozone, which is the Numa Numa song for
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
Like, yeah. That
It
is
was also
it's a huge track. Technically it's Moldovan, but like
yeah.
Moldova and Romania like effectively share the same language. They just speak
Okay.
like accented Romanian.
Are they like next to each other? Because I have like
Yeah.
no geological like. That's so
Yep.
cool though. One of my other favorite moments of you speaking Romanian is hearing you speak Romanian, and you're like Romanian SpongeBob rave, Romanian. And I remember like that was
Are
like
we
the
talking to my
funniest
mom?
thing. We were driving over that bridge that collapsed when that happened. Do you remember
Oh
this?
yeah, the Key Bridge. Oh my
Yeah.
god, that's so fucking crazy. I remember this like this was like probably like maybe around like Ramadan, like 2 or 3 years ago. And
Mhm.
like like it was like I remember it because it was like the first day of Ramadan. And like so I know people, and I myself and like my wife, like we woke up like super
Mhm.
early. And like I remember just like going on CNN. I don't know why I like looked up CNN at like 5 a.m. in the morning, and it's just like Baltimore Key Bridge completely collapses overnight. And I'm like, holy fucking shit, that is exactly the direction where my parents live. Like I started
Yeah.
panicking because they were on that bridge, I think like a couple of hours before it collapsed. I was on that bridge driving to my parents' house like 3 hours, like not 3 hours, like 3 days prior to its collapse to like
Yeah.
take care of my cat. Um, but yeah, no, it's crazy. Yeah, I tend to, I come from a bilingual household. I'm an only child. But I was born in Romania, and like a huge thing that I'm very thankful for like my family is that they forced me to speak Romanian around the house. And so
Yeah.
like even though I left when I was 4 years old, that's still, well, it was probably like 3.5, but yeah, close to 4. They still like were able to kind of like keep that like culture going like in the house by exposing me to like a lot of like Romanian culture and traditions, and ensuring that like when I spoke to them, I spoke to them in Romanian.
Yeah.
um but it does this thing where you kind of like start mixing like English words with Romanian. You're speaking Rome English, or that's like what my family and I call it. So
Yeah.
yeah,
It is a romance language, is it?
it is.
You
Yes.
can't say Romanian without romance.
That's so true. That's so true. But I was gonna say, yeah, no, like it is one of the weirdest romance languages because it's been like we are like most of the romance languages are like in West Europe, right?
Mhm.
And so that's like really far from us. Like we're near Ukraine and Bulgaria, like on the Black Sea. And
Mhm.
so most of our neighbors, excluding like Hungary and like like Serbia, Bosnia, like that sort of area, we're all surrounded by Cyrillic, more Slavic like speaking countries. And
Mhm.
we are like this weird like enclave like in between all of it where we're speaking a romance language. And so like we have history being invaded by like the Russians and like the Ottomans, and there's like this like so like the Ottomans brought a lot of Turkic words, and also like words of Arab origin. So like me and Sarah, like Sarah's family speaks Levant like Arabic. And so
Mhm.
sometimes we will see that like certain words that we use in Romanian that are not used in any other Romance language are the exact same words that they use in Arabic.
Oh, interesting.
And that's from hundreds of years of basically just, you know, a bunch of shit happening in like the region.
Yeah.
And so it makes it this very weird and unfortunately like quite difficult Romance language to learn. The
Mm-hmm.
closest thing that it's the closest thing that it's I think it's like closest relative is maybe Italian. It's probably
Okay.
about 70% mutually intelligible. Like when I heard the Pope the first time on TV, I'm like, why can I understand him?
Oh, interesting.
That's like, this is kind of weird. I don't speak Italian.
So, do you know a lot about Romanian music?
Yeah, I would say that I am more well versed in Romanian music now than I used to be.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I'm sort of thinking about for future records, you talked about this area around me, but like I
Mm-hmm.
do very much like I think that with anyone who's making music, we just want to be understood as people, right?
Yeah.
And we want to share those experiences with other people. And so I find that like in the inspiration for like the records, like I'm working on multiple albums right now that are, um, you know, that are not quite ready yet. I have gone back to pulling from like, that sort of Ozone era, Alexander Stan, Mr. Saxo Beat, like sort of era of Romanian electronic pop music
Yeah.
and really embracing it because turns out like I just really loved that stuff and I kind of see it coming back like with
Yeah,
this like
they're bangers.
they're fantastic songs. The lyrics are so like the instrumentation, like the instrumental is like a lot of them are beautiful. Like
Mhm.
and they use like acoustic instruments like on top of like electronic pop beats like in very interesting ways. You can actually see how like tropical house evolved from the official term is Romanian popcorn. Like that's the name of
Really?
the genre. Yes. It's the worst name for it ever, but it is
Uh-huh.
technically what that style is. And it was
Okay.
coined by some motherfucker named David DJ. Yeah,
Mhm.
great name. Thank you,
Yeah.
David.
Shouts
But,
out to David DJ. But it makes it feel like a snack. Because one of my favorite things is, like,
yeah,
music as food. Because like, I think music is food for
you
the
have
soul,
said
but,
this.
like, Romanian popcorn just sounds like it's like, it's fun, it's popular, it's like a carnival almost, you know?
Like, you could say that Studio Killer's, like, debut breakthrough single, Jenny, is a
Mhm.
Romanian popcorn song. If you go on Rate Your Music right now and you look at the styles,
Yeah.
Romanian popcorn is listed as like one of the official styles, and so like there's a lot of like accordion and saxophone and whatnot
Yeah.
in a lot of these tracks, and they're very very catchy and like they just kind of like they just sort of appear like got your ass and then like they disappear,
Mhm.
um, and so I'm very much trying to embrace that and also like a bit of like blog house, like early
Mhm.
justice and like those sorts of like acts because I do feel like there's a very interesting overlap and I have the experiences of, being born and raised Romanian where I feel like I understand this music on like a bit more of like a deeper emotional level and I
Yeah.
could make something that's like truly unique as a result. But I don't want to be like just focusing on the nostalgia of it. I want to make something new that's just influenced by those things.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to hear that. So,
Yeah.
I heard you're down bad.
Ooh. Yeah.
How did that come to be? Like, I remember when I saw that, I was like, this is a lot of like it's so cool to see all these artists together. You got
Yeah.
Marino Tilde and Alex Gray on that track. So
Mhm.
how did that come to be?
It was very like out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So last year I did FWA. Shout out to the furries.
Yeah.
I
I
was
was
one of the first
there.
ones. Yes.
We were all there
You were
together.
there.
FWA was actually like a memory that I'll always keep.
Mhm.
Like there was a lot of
Speaking of
stuff that went down there.
wait a second. Let me grab something really quick. I think
Yeah.
that this would be good for this part of the segment. Give me one
Okay.
sec. Okay.
I'm gonna read some ads. This podcast is brought to you by Yerba Madre. It's like Yerba Mate, but only they changed the name, and I think it means mom. I think I don't know what it means. This podcast is also I don't know if I could. Yeah, I don't think I'd want to show people that. That is so cute. I saw you in Detroit wearing those. I don't know if you saw, but I was in the chat for like half of your set in Detroit, and I was like,
yeah.
"Wait a second, Fibre's wearing them ears? Where'd you get them?"
I got them at MagFest.
Oh, nice. Speaking of MagFest, we have so many MagFest stories.
That is true.
Yeah.
Wait, but before I do that, so because you asked me about Down Bad, right?
Yeah.
It happened kind of out of nowhere. That was my first experience like doing like furry con stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very interesting because like I did this performance with Midnight Drift, which was like it kind of like towed this line between like DJ performance and like live act where like I'm singing and we're mashing up each other's tracks, which was an incredible moment.
Yeah.
And it's I even had somebody who, ironically enough, was at that Detroit show,
Mm-hmm.
who was a massive fan of mine, like waiting in line to see these acts, and he had no idea that I was even at FWA. So like I passed by him, and like somebody like said like, you know, who's ready for Midnight Drift and Fibre, like going through all of the artists, right, to hype people up. And then the guy, like as I'm passing by him, is just like, wait, Fibre is here? Fibre is here? What the fuck? Like starts like losing his mind. And then I'm like, yeah, I'm right here. Hi. They're like, what the fuck? I didn't know you were gonna. I didn't know that you like did this. Like, this is crazy. And that guy did show up to the Detroit show. He was super nice. Like,
that's great. I remember that show. It was in like the penthouse suite, and like it was like slightly raining, so all the skyscrapers look like cyberpunk, and like you had everyone going crazy. Like I remember specifically like everyone jumping, and it was like we were all in this giant like penthouse suite just going crazy, and the sound was so good. I remember that having like they had some like Bose ass speakers, but like that was such a fun show. I'll remember that forever.
It was very thank you. Yeah, it was super fun. We have like really cool like foot. I should probably release that. Like,
yeah, I told you. Like,
I recorded it. I recorded almost all of my tour from last year. I did like a 20 show tour.
Yeah.
So like, and 15 of the shows were recorded with like multiple angles and stuff, which you've been getting into.
Yeah, I uploaded our set together in where was it? Washington D.C. And you know what's funny is I've been really getting into categorizing and archiving everything, so it's like I make sure everything's there. But because of that, I've been also posting my tracks, right? Because of me posting the tracks, the DJs and remixers that made them are finding it and being like, "Oh, thank you so much for playing my track." And it's building connections. Yeah. And I was like,
really, that actually does motivate me to do it, because I'm like so overwhelmed. I have hundreds of gigs of footage, and like I'm like scared to like work on it right now. You know what I mean? It's like,
you know what? This channel is my way of getting over that fear. I had a fear of uploading. My biggest fear was actually just uploading to YouTube. And that's why I made this new channel, did all this work, just so I could get into the flow of it and break that fear, you know? So like, that's why I'm doing this. And I want to thank you for being a part of my journey, and also, you know, doing this interview with me.
Wow. Oh, whoa, that's crazy. I didn't even mean to do that. That's crazy.
How did that happen?
Yeah, there you go. There you go. It's just the iPhone like thing. I think I can do this. Yeah, there you go.
Oh wow. Oh, okay. Because like for a split second,
such crazy timing. I gotta put the ears down, man. Oh man,
that's a clippable moment right there.
Everybody is gonna be like, man, they're so fruity. But anyways, moving on, like, because you mentioned Down Bad, long story short, like, Mayor brought some of like the tracks for this like album that like I've been pushing him to work on for a while. Like, and that album is actually gonna come out on Montem, my label, like in about like 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks from now.
Nice.
We're like finalizing it. Yeah. And he brought the song like Down Bad. He already had like the name of it and a lot of like the structure, but a lot of it was like not quite ready. And he had just been stuck on this. Like he had gone through like multiple like vocal collaborators to try to figure something out. And I was struggling to help him write lyrics for it. We were considering like doing this as a collab. Like I heard the song and I was like, I really like this. Would you consider working on it together? So like, you know, Midnight Drift and like, you know, some of the people that are involved with Critter Kickback, you know, they have this like house in Georgia with this like unbelievable studio. And so like we would just bring our Ableton projects down there and basically just like start fucking around. And so, Alex Gray, who, is like kind of like, steering the ship there, like, and is an amazing like singer and songwriter, happened to walk in on us like going through this and like me kind of like racking my brain. And I'm like not a very good like songwriter in terms of like writing lyrics. Like I've only released 3 songs with my vocals on it for a reason. And he just started like singing like the love me, why don't you? And then Mara's like, holy shit. And like we need to start recording this. Like start fucking recording, Alex. And like and it just was like it got very exciting, and we started working on it over the course of like 2 days, finalized it over a month or 2 when we got back. And yeah, that's how the song came to be. And it's such a banger. It's such a banger. Pepperoncini did the art, who did the art for Moe Shop's Moe Moe. And she was super cool to work with as well. Super nice. So yeah, that's kind of how the song came to be.
That's awesome. I love how within your creative sphere, there's so many like connections to all these peoples in all different scenes and stuff. And my next question was like, in the future funk vaporwave scene, do you see it as like, I was talking to this with that's Matt earlier, another future funk producer, but like it's like a small town where there's like, it's a very close-knit family, and we all know each other, and we all create together, and we all have like our own little individual places and stuff. But like, where do you feel you fit in the small town that is the vaporwave scene?
I want to say that like as a part of, I guess, the way that I choose to continue on like the project, like Fibre. Like Fibre's been going on for nearly 15 years at this point.
Yeah.
And so in order for me to like really continue to keep it fresh, I have to evolve like also like beyond the confines of the genre. That doesn't mean necessarily though that like I'm not a part of the future funk community. And I think that like, you're asking this at a very interesting time where there's like a lot of like discourse going on, I think, in the future funk scene about like scene fragmentation and it dying. Like, I don't know, you're probably not browsing Reddit, but like I heard whispers of like, people being sort of like naysayers and saying that like, future funk is dead, and it's over, like nobody is interested in the genre anymore and stuff like that. And like you talk about this like, tight-knit family aspect of it. And, I do think that that's really important to keep. But I think that like on top of that, like, and this ties into what it is that I sort of do. Like, I'm just sort of doing my own thing. I make music based off of the things that I'm personally inspired by. I love doing things with my friends. It makes it all that much more easy. And I think that there is a lot to learn from other scenes as well. Like I've been super, super involved like with a bunch of artists like in like the breakcore, femcore scene. So we're talking like Feminem, Milky Possum, shouts out to them, Switch Angel, shout out, Cube Natural, shout out. Am I forgetting anyone else? Those are like the main ones, but there's like it's like a big tent, right?
Yeah.
And the thing that I'm noticing from where future funk is right now versus what they're doing is that they are just they have fully embodied this like idea of like we're all in this together. And so like it makes touring easier. It makes working on music together easier because like you actually enjoy it and you have like the motivation to share that with your friends, and there's like not this like competitive air, I feel like, where even back in the good old days like with Future Society Collective, the future funk scene was always like kind of like fragmented in like a couple of like groups, and like those groups never really crossed over. And then add that on top of this like thing that people do, like somebody in response to this whole like discourse was like, well, there's Yoi Toki, who's still doing shows, and there's also Starjunk 95 who's like fucking killing it and is doing things at like Coachella. And the response that I heard from people was like, well, that's not future funk.
Yeah.
But I started thinking about that, and I'm like, why is that not future funk? Why is it that vaporwave, like a genre like vaporwave, can continue to evolve? It's because everyone's just kind of fucking doing whatever they want. And like they're still under that tent. And like I feel like because there's future funk is kind of samey sounding,
Yeah.
People are, like, scared to allow that in, and, like, that's how the genre dies. You don't let other influences come in and, like, allow you to make things that are new and fresh.
Yeah. It's like a microorganism. It needs to evolve. It needs to get,
You have to, yeah, and
different
it
things to
requires
grow.
TLC. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I was gonna ask about you were talking about Yoitoki, and you've done a couple, right? How are
Yeah,
those
yeah.
experiences, and, like, what was some memorable Yoitoki memories for you?
Hmm. I think that some of my favorite Yoitoki gigs have been Baltimore and Chicago.
Okay.
I've gotten the chance to do a couple, like, where I've been able to travel for
Mhm.
them, but mostly I'm just, doing the Baltimore ones. Um, Memorable parts of that, I mean, the Baltimore scene is I'm gatekeeping. I'm sorry, I'm gatekeeping. Like, it's
Really?
people are really there for the music, and, like,
Yeah.
you can feel that, like, people are so authentic in, like, the things that
Mhm.
they enjoy, and, inviting new things in and being inspired. Like, I literally get people, like, from Baltimore. There's no other town where this happens, where I'll get, like, Instagram DMs from, like, people that became fans of mine as a result of, like, the Yoitoki, like, soundstage shows, and they'll, like,
Mhm.
send me, like, reels, like, "Send this to your favorite DJ," which is, like,
Aw.
so sweet.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like, there's countless amazing moments, like, with Yoitoki, like, in at soundstage. Just, like, the energy. Chicago, like, playing Chicago, which is kind of like the house capital of the world, was
Yeah.
incredible because we had, like, 400 people show up for that. That was, like, so unexpected.
Mhm.
Um, and, there's there I think, like, Chicago especially, like, that was, like, the first time where, like, I tried to live stream a gig. On top
Yeah.
of that, there's, like, Zico from First Class Collective was, like, filming shit on, like, VHS, like, tape cameras. Amazing lighting, like, the sweetest people. Like, I talked to fans probably for an hour until, like, they fully kicked us out of the venue that night. We gave out free mixtapes to people, like, of, like, this, like, exclusive DJ set that I did. Um, and it was just like, I think that the moments that I enjoy the most out of any show, but especially with, like, the Yoitoki gigs, is just like being able to, like, shake hands with people, and, they express their appreciation and I express my own, because, like, truly, like, none of what I'm doing would, like, I'm musically speaking, it would matter to me, but, like, the fact that it matters to other people is a blessing.
Yeah.
Um, and so, but yeah, like, out of like the cities where I've had the most memorable opportunities and whatnot with Yoitoki, it's been those two. Absolutely.
Awesome. Yeah. I love that area of the country. Like, I'm stuck over here in LA. How many times have you come
Mm.
over to LA?
Probably too many times. I came
Yeah,
to
yeah.
LA, like, I went to LA, and no, I do like LA. I like certain aspects of it. I think it really heavily depends on where
Yeah.
you are, but, like, I will always kind of have this, like, association to with LA, to, like, the first, like, really strong, like, music capital, like, of, like, the
Mhm.
country, where, like, I could feel that, like, there's studios on every block, and, like, there's, like, so many people to meet. And there's so many fucking highways to drive on. There's so many highways to drive
Yeah.
on. Um, but all of that, like, it kind of, at first I hated LA,
Mhm.
and then I found it to be, like, quite lovely and what LA could give to
Yeah.
people. Um, but but yeah, I've been to LA, like, since 2021, probably like 15 times.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I think I
Yeah.
went to, like, I've only ever missed one of your shows, and it was during Anime Expo because I was at, the Anthrocon in Pittsburgh.
Right, right. Yeah, that was Event Horizon. That was the first Event Horizon gig that we did. That was the first time that I basically became my own promoter. And that was really scary.
Yeah,
That
I
was
went to that
really
show.
scary.
I think I went to that show, the one at, Zero
Really?
Lounge. Yeah. Remember? And then I asked if I could sign the flyer, and then, what's his name was like, "Actually, only the artist can sign the flyer." Do you remember
I
that?
think
That was
I
funny.
don't remember that. I thought that, like, maybe no, you know what it was? It was the Virtues Deluxe release party. That was the
Oh,
one that
okay.
you didn't show up to. That was, like, in March of last
Okay.
year. I think that you were out at, like, some convention during that, but
Mhm.
that and Anime Expo was, like, so close that, I think, like, the wires were crossed. Like, you were
Yeah.
not at a specific Zero Lounge show.
Yeah.
But that was great, like, especially, like, meeting Funk Fiction, like,
Mhm.
that lineup was super sick, super diverse. Um, People put money on the line to just, like, make it happen, which I was very, thankful for, because it wasn't like Event Horizon, like, made all that much cash
Mhm.
in, like, and so it was like it was just something that we were trying that I would love to continue doing, but I don't know if you've noticed this, but I feel like live shows are like attendance at live shows, especially DIY stuff, is becoming smaller and smaller.
Yeah. Well, it's more of like the genre. It's like different genres peak and like, people want different things. Like I recently went to a sold out furry rave and everything was like
Right.
170 and everyone shows up to dress up. Speaking of dressing up, you've played like what's it called? The SpongeBob raves and like the Shrek raves and stuff. Like how has that influenced your DJing abilities and your music production skills?
Oh, I think it absolutely has. I think that, like, a lot of people, they're, coming from, like, this perspective of, like, Shrek Rave and, like, SpongeBob Rave, I think it's Bikini Bottom Rave because they got, like,
Yeah,
cease and desist,
yeah.
right? That they're, like, these exclusively, like, corporate, like ideas, like, in terms
Mhm.
of, like, the way that a show should be, like, run, and while, like, I can understand, like, the criticisms of, like of some of those, I think that there was, like, something still very raw about, like, this like embodying this idea of like who gives a fuck about, being lame, like
Yeah.
just be yourself. And I think that that's like when I went to those like raves, like they were attracting like a lot of like normie crowds as well. But
Mhm.
because there was like this air of openness, like it would like allow me, to play like harder electronic music, but also like some like French house classics, like mashed up with like silly shit. Um,
Mhm.
and even play my own music as kind of like, mashed up with other things to like as a subliminal way of like getting people to like be like, oh, what's that? Right. By like
Yeah.
creating this association between it. But yeah, it absolutely changed my style of DJing in the sense that like I started getting into harder electronic music and embracing that more. Whereas like, I come from this like background of like Daft Punk's Discovery,
Mhm.
like being like the main source of inspiration that I had in from like the very beginning. And now I'm kind of like delving more into like what beautiful fucked up things you can do with electronic music. I'm always like thinking about, like things like what Sophie said, if you have technology, like I'm paraphrasing when I say this, but if you have like technology in your hands, like, she was like inspired by like, outside sounds, like things that you can find in nature, but why limit yourself to just a specific palette, right?
Mhm.
Why not try to create something that like, it can be familiar but also crosses into this like uncanny familiar, like unfamiliar territory, something
Yeah.
otherworldly. And like that's how people pioneer shit, like at the end of the day,
Yeah.
she changed pop music forever. And so
Mhm.
like yeah, that's a bit of how like, just playing those few shows like changed things. It also showed me what it's like to tour, because I
Yeah.
was doing them at one point like side by side.
Mhm.
So it gave me a glimpse into that and also how exhausting it can get.
Yeah.
It's so
Just
tiring.
club, airport, club, airport, club, airport.
The thing that's crazy though is that like I went to a Ginger Root concert like
Mhm.
probably like with Sarah like probably like 3 years ago.
Mhm.
And I asked him, I was like, "How do you do it?" Like,
Mhm.
like I met him at like the merch booth because he was like one of the people that the show would end and he would immediately go to the merch booth and like sign things and talk to everyone, which is
Oh,
actually why I
nice.
started doing that like in my own gigs as well.
Mhm.
And like I was at the very end of the line and I just said like, "How do you do it?" And he's like, "Honestly, like people just like don't really take care of themselves, and like you absolutely need to conserve your energy when you're touring. You need to like kind of lay low. You have to accept the fact that like this is a job, and that like you're not here to really like explore the sights of this city. You're here to play a show. And so if
Mm-hmm.
you fuck up your sleep, if you're not eating right, if you are not taking care of your own personal needs, then you're going to crash and burn. And
Yeah.
I see a lot of my friends, not to call them out, but I'm saying this more because I'm worried about them, like
Mm-hmm.
long term, where like I'll have friends will be like, yeah, I like flew from halfway across the world and I haven't slept in 3 days and I'm still going. Let's fucking party. Let's drink. And I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, you are bro, I'm gonna hold your hand while
Mm-hmm.
I say this. You're going to die.
Yeah.
You're gonna die.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, like that's another thing,
That's some good advice. I didn't know that y'all met and like had like a conversation like that. But like this leads me to a question where it's like, what other advice did you get from other musicians that really helped your career in musical styling?
Ooh. Okay. A big one from Porter
Yeah.
Robinson. Okay. Um, this was during Nurture,
Mm-hmm.
right? So a second studio album. And there was this interview that he had
Mm-hmm.
where he talked about this like idea that he had of needing to one up himself after he had released Worlds, right? Because Worlds was like this like kind of emotional dance music pioneering album that like kind of like it changed a lot of that sort of music forever, and like it inspired a lot of artists to start going in that direction as well. Like that album was very fuck EDM, right?
Yeah.
Um and he said that like in trying to create Nurture, he had like created this like expectation of himself to that like whatever it is that he's doing, like he needs to go into the studio with a white knuckle grip every single day, telling himself like I need to create the best thing that the world has ever seen, and I will not stop until I get it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in a way it's good to work towards like improvement and bettering yourself as a musician, but I think that in a lot of ways, you know engaging with art in this way is just putting so many expectations on you as just a regular person that you're going to crash and burn under the pressure. And so a huge reason as to why Rendezvous, my second EP, was so like it took me so long to finish it. And like I nearly lost it when somebody stole like a hard drive from me back in like 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Was that like I was also going into the studio with a white knuckle grip saying that I must one up myself. And when I couldn't do that, when like it I got super discouraged, and I feel like the album actually kind of suffered as a result. Whereas with 810, I was doing this like very like I'm just making music for the sake of making it. And this is just what's coming to me, free flowing. And I'm going to embrace that. Um, the moment that I tried to remove that expectation, um, from the way that it is that like I make music, was the moment that I really started to like experiment and make very interesting things that I had never made before. And that was what pushed me over the edge actually to write Virtual World. And that has become like that was like that's the first song I ever sang on, ever.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'd never ever sung on a song like of mine ever before. And that song like has nearly 1 million plays just on Spotify alone now. It's like my second biggest song ever, second to Supernatural, which I made when I was 15. And that was all because like what Porter said in that interview, that like he unshackled himself from this like idea of expectation, this idea of what like your fans want from you versus you want for yourself. You just have to be yourself.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing for me. Like that's the biggest one.
That's a good one. Speaking of singing, we were talking earlier, and you said that you do like vocal lessons and stuff. I was actually listening to some of my early music because my dad was playing a CD. It was nothing but all my demos from like 2008 to 2012, and in it
Mhm.
I was like acoustic songs. But like now as an adult, like I've studied singing, I've learned how to do it. Like I could hear me holding back and restraining myself. Like there was like this like
Yeah.
kind of like pressure of like I don't want to be open. And it's so interesting how like when you open up yourself to experiences, when you open up yourself to like just being your genuine self, like it flows more naturally. So I was wondering,
Mhm.
since you started singing, since you started getting more open with yourself, like how has that reflected in your music?
Yeah, it's definitely changed things. I would say that I'm more confident than I used to be. And like
Yeah.
the way I feel like with singing like on my own songs, there's like so many aspects to it that are so intimidating
Hmm.
because there's the songwriting and like the lyrics portion of it. I come from a production background, and so like, and this is like going into a lot of vulnerabilities that I personally have, but I don't mind sharing them.
Hmm.
Um, I come from a producer background, and so like I'm very good at writing instrumentals, therefore writing instrumental tracks. And so the way that I have like, made songs like up until this point is that I would create an instrumental and then I would sort of retrofit like vocals on top of it.
Yeah.
Whereas I would be a lot easier and I would be able to create an instrumental that better fits the vocal line of what I'm singing if I just wrote that vocal line first.
Hmm.
Right? Um, but so there's that aspect of like trying to get over that like that flip-flopping of the way that like I have done things up until this point, which is very uncomfortable to deal with. There's the actual like act of like, learning to sing, which you're totally right when you say, and this is still something that I struggle with because I'm still very early on into
Hmm.
this, where you're holding back and like something that like my vocal instructor said is that like oftentimes people don't open their mouth like like
Yeah.
like enough basically, and they're sort of singing like this, right? And like it's just kind of like coming out like a little bit um tinny and like meek, right? As opposed to like, projecting power over your voice, like quieter and louder parts. Singing in a mirror helps with that as well. And that also, the way that I sing and the way that I choose to use my voice, like that very much ties into like my identity. And that's like very like that's a very vulnerable thing. I tried forcing myself to sing to like in performances like during my tour. I decided that I was going to do a couple of dates where it wasn't a DJ set. um
Hmm.
and the thing is that like I noticed that as I did voice crack, goddamn, as I did it more, I got more confident with it, but then the moment that I stopped, that insecurity came back, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, now like, I've lost that momentum, so I can't start again. So it's impacted things positively because I think overall I'm more confident, but I'm still very early on in this like journey.
Yeah.
And it I don't know about you, how your experience has been, but I feel like something as vulnerable as like singing on top of your music, it it forces you to confront a lot of uncomfortable things about yourself,
Hmm.
you know? And like things that you might not want to face, but you put a, you become a little bit brave and then you just fucking do it anyways because that's what you want.
Yeah, it's like turning your body into an instrument. Like your body is the vibration. But speaking of instruments, how many instruments can you play? Because I see there's some guitars in the background. It looks like you have
Yep.
like a modular rack. Like what are some of the like instruments that you have, and like what are like some of the weirder instruments that you've used in tracks before?
Hmm. Yeah, I can play guitar. That's like my main thing, and I've always like wanted to, also, at one point I was sort of playing around with this idea of like basically like a Fibre rock indie rock album.
Yeah.
That sort of like fell through. I have like electric and acoustic guitar here. I can kind of noodle my way around a piano.
Hmm.
That's something that, I just kind of use more for like composition. But it's something that's like on my list of things to learn because I feel like when I'm composing, I do it very like intuitively just because like I kind of have gotten a feel, so I
Hmm.
compose everything basically by ear. Like I'm not really thinking about like theory or like what key I'm in or anything like that. Sometimes that's honestly a good thing because then you're not bound to, bullshit ideas of like, what Baroque music was in the 15th and 16th century when a
Hmm.
lot of genres do not employ that, but it's just good to know. Those are the main two. I feel like synths are kind of an extension of like, the piano, but it's more like keyboardist, so to speak. Interesting instruments that I've used. Um, I would say that like a huge thing that it hasn't shown up on many release tracks is I have this vocoder right here,
Yeah, I see
the
it.
Electric's Warp Factory, that I've used quite a lot, just in like works in progress, and it is effectively the Daft Punk vocoder.
Oh,
It is
wow.
because Daft Punk used the Digitech Vocalist, and the
Mhm.
Vocalist is basically a guitar pedal.
Mhm.
But the company, and I love music history and like nerd shit like this. I love to tinker around with electronics.
Mhm.
Um, you know, IVL, which is the company that did the digital signal processing for like the Digitech Vocalist, also sold that chip to a couple of other, companies, and they also sold that chip to, Electrics, who made this like rack mounted unit. And what this basically is the Daft Punk, like the Daft Punk vocoder, but instead with tweakable like parameters, like adding, noise or assigning gender, so like more masculine or feminine, resonance. And so it is effectively like a more tweakable version of this like this coveted after very characteristic sounding vocoder. And I got it for about $200. Like I got
Oh,
it before
wow.
people realized what it is. It's probably close to $1,000 now or something. um Processing stuff on reel to reel tape has also been a big thing. I have it right here. um I guess I haven't like used too many like weird instruments. I've like played around with, like, I used to play the violin a lot, and so like I've sampled violin like in my music. It's kind of about it. But like now that like you mention it, now I probably should find some weird instruments. I like to use toy synthesizers, like kind of like
Mhm.
kids' toys sometimes, and like I've been taking an interest in like circuit bending and all of that shit, and you can get some very interesting stuff. Sometimes you get nothing and you just break it, but yeah, stuff like that.
That's cool. So you were talking about how like you compose based off of feeling. So
Yeah,
what do you think is your go-to Fibre feeling that you want your audience to feel?
joy. A lot
That's a
of a
good
lot
one.
of a lot of the cat like a lot of the emotion that I think up until this point, which it doesn't mean that it won't change, right?
Yeah.
But up until this point, a lot of the Fiber discography is about capturing the feeling that I felt when I heard One More Time for the first time on my car radio when I was 5 years old. Um
Mm.
because there was I feel like One More Time, like, it's, like, the track that, like, so many, like, producers, harken back to, like, in terms of, like, this is where it started for me. But it was, like it, like, actually changed my brain chemistry, and I couldn't find the song for I've told the story before, I couldn't find the song for years.
Oh, wow.
Um, and so I just had, like, "Music's Got Me Feeling So Free" part in my
Mhm.
head for the longest time. Um and then the song just cuts, and it was just playing in my head over and over again until I came across it on YouTube when I was, like, 14. No, it
Oh,
must have been
wow.
13,
Mhm.
and I loved it so much, and I felt so much joy exuding from that song. And I would say that it's a very joyous, jubilant, celebratory song. It literally, like, "One more time, we're gonna celebrate," right? And
Yeah.
so a lot of that has been about capturing, the feeling that I felt, the joy that I had from discovering French house music, and this like journey that I've gone on, because I would not be the person that I am today. I would not have the friends that I had I had not found that song.
Yeah.
Nothing about my life would be the same, like at all. It would probably be significantly worse.
So
So
music's got you feeling so free. I was
yeah,
actually
so
gonna
I love
ask,
getting joy for free.
a song that isn't yours, what would you say is the most Fibre song that isn't a Fibre song?
Hmm. Ooh, this is such a good question because it like I have to think about this.
Yeah.
Hmm. First one that comes to mind is High Life by Daft Punk. I like to claim that song as like a blueprint, like for proto future funk. Um, man, it's difficult because it's like a lot of tracks are that I got influenced by. Ooh, maybe For Those Who Come in Late by The Phantom's Revenge. That's another one. That is like an older version of a song that he re-released that just I think went by late. But that's a very interesting one. A lot of sample-based stuff, but it's like I think what I'm trying to do oftentimes, even in like my old sample-based stuff, is trying to pay homage to the artists before me that and trying to basically like in a very like genuinely overt way express my gratitude because like what's more like badass than quite physically like materially having like your influences like on your sleeve, you know by sampling something like in my view and trying to like turn it into something that is completely new. You are trying to pay respects to like an artist, and to me it's like a love note, like a thank you slash love note to that artist.
Yeah.
um there are times where I won't sample things. Thinking about this question, there will be times where I won't sample things because I feel like I don't have anything to contribute, because the song itself is perfect and it doesn't need to be touched by me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think those are the two. I'd have to think more about, but like that. The thing is that question changes so like that the answer to that question changes so often based off of like the music that I currently love.
Yeah.
So like I love right now like Nina Girachi's like I Love My Computer. I love the new Underscores record. I love a lot of the shit that Switch Angel is putting out. Like it's like very different. But
Yeah.
stylistically, a lot of EV.EXI stuff is very Fibre, at least the
Okay.
early stuff, because he was very inspired by me, and he
Yeah.
said that like out loud to people. So yeah.
Like, one of the things I was actually gonna ask, like, we were talking about, like, building communities and having, like, a close network of people is, like,
Mhm.
do you notice, like, the people you've inspired and see their trajectories and be like, "I was a part of that echo"?
Yes. Yes, and I feel, an immense pride that,
Mhm.
like, people can, because that's what I did, right? Like, it doesn't matter how big or small you are, like, you know, I'm so happy to just, like, help people, and I want that to be a part of, like, my personality more moving forwards, like, caring about, like, the people around me as opposed to, like, really rather keeping my head down so that like I can get like a bunch of work done, right? And like not
Mhm.
really look at like what's around me. um and so you know I was like asked this question before, like if somebody that like like starts to get interested like in the, and I don't remember who asked me this. It might have been Sarah. um if they start getting interested like in the things that you're interested, like your hobbies and the things that you do, like music, does that not like do you not feel like a bit like threatened? And I'm like, no, not at
Mhm.
all. I am so happy to share this with other people. I'm so happy to share music production. My like I hate gatekeeping. I hate
Yeah.
gatekeeping to like normal people. I'm not talking about corporations, but like to normal
Mhm.
people that are just trying to get knowledge. If like they're inspired by that, or if there's something that I can literally tell them, I'm not gonna hide it from them. Like
Yeah.
I've seen so many people who do this, and this is something that has pissed me off to no end in the like not in future funk, but in the French house community. Because
Yeah.
I was inspired by these guys, and they're gatekeeping all of this shit because they're so French. Shout out to
Yeah.
French people. I don't hate y'all. Like,
Yeah.
but, like, I had to dig so deep for that, right? And I
Mhm.
spent years, Frank, years of my life trying to get there.
Yeah.
And I nearly gave up so many times, and so, like, I don't wanna be that, you know?
Mhm.
But,
So
yeah, shout out
if
Ed Banger, shout out those guys as well.
If you were to like now 2026 Fibre talk to 2016 Fibre, what's some advice that you would give younger Fibre?
You I guess it's like, to be honest with you, like I would there's not a whole ton that I would probably say to like my younger self.
Mhm.
I think the only thing that I would probably say to my younger self is that that it's just okay to be yourself, no matter what
Yeah.
that means. Um, I think that like for the longest time, in not just musically and like career wise, but personally, I had been living in this pre-made image of what other people wanted my life to be and what it was that I would achieve
Mhm.
and what it is that I would do. And the thing is that I to this day I'm still working through insecurities to be like there's nothing to be ashamed of. There's nothing to feel guilty of. It's just like just focus on what makes you happy.
Yeah.
Um, and that's something that I think a lot of musicians as well constantly struggle with, especially musicians that like have fan bases because then those fans have expectations. But that doesn't mean that you have to listen to them. Like
Yeah.
you just do what makes you feel free. If it means continuing to work on music, different or not, do it. If it means stopping music outright, do it. Don't be afraid of those things. And that's like the big one for me. But I am very happy with the way that like from 2016 till now, I have like evolved as a person. I think that like I'm much more compassionate. I'm much more loving, and I try at least to be more caring of like the people that are important around me. Um, and even nowadays, I'm like, I should really like make sure that like I'm keeping in touch with like my good friends and trying to give them more time, and not like work so much. Like
Yeah.
life is about living it, as well. So
Mhm.
that's what I'd probably say.
So where do you see yourself in 10 years from now? What is the
This is a
2030s
job
bring you
interview
for
now.
Fibre?
It's a job interview. No,
uh,
I don't know. I don't know. Like I was asking to it's funny. I was asking myself this question like 3 days ago. Like
yeah.
where do I see myself like in even 5 years?
Mhm.
Um what I would like to say is that I'd like to see myself like firmly secured like in having a job as a musician because I
Yeah.
will be so honest when I say that like up until this point, the grind of being a full-time musician has like nearly caused me to fully quit.
Mm.
Because it's so it's an amazing, lovely thing, but it's so hard to make money. It's so
Mhm.
hard to like keep all these things together. And if you don't already have enough money to like delegate and like offload some of these things to other people and have like a team, it's really hard. You're kind of on your own, and there's only so much time that you can continue to like ask of other people like unpaid, before
Mhm.
those people are like, "Hey, we also have our own lives to deal with." Um and so I would love nothing more for me to be able to pursue like an honest and genuine career like in music and be able to share things with other people. And also like do it in like not a very influencer way because I just realized that like I feel like so much of what we're trying to do is like as artists is being pushed into this like influencer mindset. That
Mhm.
doesn't mean that you can't talk to a community, but like I'm also like I'm not here just to make content,
Yeah,
like I'm here
yeah.
to make music and share that with other people. Um but what I want to do is, long story short, is focus on my career as a musician and hopefully succeed in that so that my amazing wife Sarah, who works so unbelievably hard every day like at her day job ever since like I got laid off like a year ago, where I get to go and run around with like my friends and do cool shit with them so that
Mhm.
I can be successful and I can get her to quit her job in the next few years and for us to be financially stable
Yeah.
so that we could do things like get a house and like, focus on like what a family would mean for us. And I don't know what those things would be. Things could change.
Yeah.
But I want to continue to this, and I want to do it with my friends, and I want to support the people that got me here, like Sarah, like other people in my life that have like shouted me out and like have just supported me through pretty much everything. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I hope I could be there dancing with you in the future.
I'm sure that we will. Like we always
Yeah.
say that like whenever we meet in person, it's like I don't know when's the next time we're going to see each other. It's going to happen. It's going to
Yeah,
happen.
yeah.
It always does.
So
And
we've
so
been
I'm
talking for
also very
like
thankful for your friendship.
yeah, I really enjoy hanging out. Every time we hang out, it's always a good time, which is like
Mhm.
it's just so funny. We've been talking for an hour and 12 minutes, and not once did we bring up our Joshua Tree story.
That's so funny. I was just thinking that. That's so funny. Okay, let's talk about it. Screw it.
Okay, so what happened? Like you were in LA for something and you came by yourself and you were like, "Oh, I want to see Joshua Tree," because like there's so many little things that happened leading up to it that were like it was like a sign. Like, do you remember I bought a pop socket and the guy at Target was really weird?
They were like incredibly misogynistic and just like literally a woman hater.
Yeah, it was
Like
like an actual incel. It was an
yeah,
incel moment, and I was just
and
like,
it was just like out of nowhere. It was like this
yeah.
like weird pent up rage. And you were like, I don't even remember what the guy said, but we were going to Joshua Tree because you had mentioned it to me before, probably like in fall, but it was
Mhm.
getting too cold to go. So we said that like we would go in spring. We wanted to do this like with, me, Sarah, you, like Marian, and and I think that like Sarah couldn't come because like she had been dealing with this like thing with her leg for the
Mhm.
longest time. And so we just kind of did this on our own. I think I was in town for I think it was the Virtues party.
Yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah.
the one that
So
was at Zero Lounge, and I was there for that. It was like me,
okay,
you,
so
and
then
Zaku.
that's where I was getting confused because I
Yeah,
thought
yeah.
that you weren't there for that, but you were there for Event Horizon. You weren't there for Event Horizon.
Yeah, because I was in the furry convention in Pittsburgh. But yeah,
Exactly.
so
I remember
we
now.
go to Target. I pick up a pop socket, but like to get a pop socket, I have to ask the guy to open it for me. And I was telling you about the
Everything's
time
locked
I
in
was
LA.
in Joshua Tree and I saw a woman with a lizard on her shoulder, and I was like, "Nice lizard," and like she just ignored me, and I was like, "Okay, whatever." But then when I said that to you, the Target guy was like, "All women are the same," and I was like,
Yeah.
"What's going
Because
on here?"
he was like, yeah, he like went into this like very verbose tirade. I would say that's
Mhm.
the only way I'd describe it. Where
Yeah.
it's like because women are superficial and they only care about like the looks that other men give them and the way that they are perceived by other men and
Mhm.
that's why they're all shallow and I'm just like and I remember you just responding with okay, cool.
Yeah, that's my go-to, like, non-offensive phrase. I'll be like, "Cool,
I could
yeah,
feel the
awesome."
like, the anxious like, I don't think anybody else could
Mhm.
really notice it, but when you say something like that, like, I know that, like, you're like, "What the fuck is happening?"
Yeah, I was
Like
just like, "I wanna get out of here, like, this is not what I was expecting," at, like,
yeah,
11 AM.
that was a lot. Yeah,
Mhm.
and, like, I remember God, like, the drive there was really beautiful, like, I had never really been in the desert before, like, that was a huge reason as to
We
why I
saw
wanted
a phenomena. Do you remember we saw the rainbow clouds? Like, that's, like, an actual thing that, like, only happens in the desert, was there was these rainbow
Yeah,
clouds, and I took pictures of it, and I was like, "Oh, that's a good sign," and your mom
yeah.
was so scared for you. Do you remember that?
Yes. My mom is always scared for me. I love my mom. She's
Mhm.
awesome. But yeah, like, she was whenever I do something that's new, like, sometimes I don't want to tell her because I don't want to give her a heart attack.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to the desert with Frank." And like she
Mhm.
already knows you, you've met her before, but I think the words going to the desert like really freaked her
Yeah.
out and they're like, "Please bring water, please like what are you doing? Like where are you going and whatnot." And I was like, "It's okay, we have an Airbnb," but I remember just her like constantly calling me just to make sure that everything was all right,
Do your
you know.
parents know about the getting stuck part?
Ooh, I think that I told them a bit about it
Yeah.
and they were just kind of like, because they had nothing to say because, like, it had already happened, but they were like,
Yeah.
"Oh my god, bro, like,
Yeah.
are you for real?" Yeah, and that was my fault. Like,
Mhm.
we got stuck in so, like, we went to Joshua Tree, and that was beautiful. It
Yeah.
was really nice the whole day, and then we went back to the Airbnb, but then I was like, because I for people who don't know, I love to do, like, stargazing and, like astrophotography, and so, like, I have this, like, dark sky map on my phone that, like, outlines, like, light pollution. I was like, "Hey, Frank, if we drive, like, 45 minutes, like, out east, there's, like, nothing there. It's gonna be a completely dark sky. Let's go and take a look at, like, the stars. And do you wanna
Yeah, yeah.
reveal
I already
before
been
we take
I
your
have
prep?"
the elevator pitch, you know what I mean? Like I've been doing it
Yes.
long enough. But actually, I wanted to go back to what like when we first got there cuz I rented out like a tiny home. Like it was like a very
Yeah.
tiny just little home with like a bunch of land. But I kind
Mhm.
of it's kind of hazy. Like what did we do during the day before that? Did we go to the park?
We did. Yes. I bought, like, the "Don't Die," like, hat.
Yeah.
We did a lot of hiking, I
Yeah.
remember. And, like, we hiked, I think, from probably because, like, I remember we went to bed kinda late, and then we woke up late. We were in the park from probably, like, maybe noon to 6 p.m. No, no, no.
That was
Closer
the
to
day
8
after.
PM.
Because
Was
originally
it?
we were gonna go to the house to like do like recording, like we were gonna record a rock
Yeah.
song together, remember? And
Yeah, and
that
we
kind
tried
of
to
like
strum
never
for,
went
like, 3
anywhere.
seconds, and yeah, that was just, like, me not taking initiative on that. But,
Oh, you know what it was? I did acid. Originally it
yes,
was gonna be like yeah, well, this is illegal, but I'm pretty sure like no, it's not gonna be like,
the statute of limitations is
yeah.
over.
And you
Well,
were
also
like
you're in California, so who cares?
you didn't wanna do it, and I was like, "Okay, more for me," so I took it,
Yes.
and then the sun set, and then that's when you were like, "Oh, I wanna see the night sky," 'cause I know you do, like, photography, like, didn't you even do it
Mhm.
in Canada?
I did, yes, and it's so funny, I drove up to hang out with some Toronto friends and, like, like, work on some music stuff with them, and I also I did this thing, like, because I had, like, been honestly constantly restricted in terms of traveling, and I've always wanted to travel more. I had, like, more money when I had, like, just gotten laid off, and so I
Mhm.
literally just put a push pin on the map, and I said, "Fuck it, this is where I'm going, and I'm gonna drive there from." So I booked a flight, like, 2 days in advance to Toronto. I think I paid, like, $600 for it or something. Got a rental car and then, like, drove, like, 3.5 hours up to, like, the Bruce Peninsula, like,
Mhm.
and there is nothing there. There's nothing there. To this, like, small town called Tobermory that is, like, supposed to be this, like, this officially designated, like, stargazing, like, nighttime, area. It's like it's very well known for astrophotographers. And the reason why I was doing that as well was because I wanted to take photos of the northern lights. The data for the northern lights looked, like, really good. Um, it was honestly a bit of a fluke. I couldn't physically see anything with my eyes, but it was the first time I had seen the Milky Way with, like,
Yeah.
my naked eye, and, like, the Milky Way was, like, casting a shadow, like, which was fucking crazy. But, like, I didn't see it until, like, I looked at my photos later on, and I actually did, in the long exposures, take a photo of this, like, invisible aurora that was, like, green and, like, a little bit yellow and, like, beautiful, like, vibrant red, but I just couldn't see it with my own eyes.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, like, and I also wanted to do that when we were at Joshua Tree.
Yeah.
Um but I do remember, I think that the way that this, at least the way that I remember it, is that we were in the park. I think we were only there for 1 day, like,
Yeah,
one.
that's what I was remembering. Cause like, we got there and then, like, the sun kinda set. Cause I remember we were watching, like, just,
We were
like, random stuff
stuck. We
on
were almost we were almost stuck in there, like, in the park too.
yeah.
But go on.
And, we were watching, like, stuff on YouTube, like, I had just got my laptop, I think, or
Mhm.
you brought your laptop, and we were just, like, watching stuff. I took the acid, and I was like, "Oh, it's gonna kick in an hour." And then, like, after an hour, you're like, "Wait a second, it's gonna be, like, pitch black in the desert. Do you wanna go?" And I was like, "Sure." And I remember we
I was
were
like, "Are you
driving and
sure that you wanna do this?"
Yeah, and the road was all windy. Like I remember it felt like a serpent. And then one of the
It
first
really scared the
spots.
shit out of me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you really scared the whole time? Because I was just like
Oh,
chilling.
I was terrified. I
Yeah.
was just putting a brave face on, honestly.
Okay, because like the whole time I was like, doop 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 doop. This is so
I was
cool.
like, this is so fucking hilly, and I cannot see anything but the road in front of me. If anything is here, I'm going to hit it.
Yeah.
Right?
So
And
you
like,
were like, let's pull off here. And then the first time you pull off, like we're like probably like 45 minutes away from the Airbnb. We pull off, there's just a grave site. Do you remember? You didn't
yeah,
see
there
it.
was just like a
I pull
cross.
off.
And I
Yeah,
was like,
there
and we
was
were
just
like,
like a grave.
that is like, mind you, for anybody, for the like, just for context, right? We have already beyond past civilization at this point. There's only like a couple of houses like here and there. The part that which we pull off in is quite literally just the desert, right? They're like, the city lights are like behind us, and they're far away and kind of like twinkling like stars, because like just a little bit of light is like coming through like from the like the horizon. And like we pull over to the side, like I just decide like randomly like at like what I think is a vacant area, and we quite literally pull up right next to a grave. And I'm like, that's not good, let's keep going. Like,
You know what's
and
funny? I
we were,
remembered what we did before. We were actually in the park and we were in that
yes,
mine area where the sun was setting, and you were terrified
exactly.
because the sun was setting and
We
said you
heard
can't be here.
voices.
Yeah, and we heard voices coming from like the bushes and stuff, and it was like there was also grave sites there. And then as soon as we got back to the car, there were bats everywhere. Like there
Here
was
lies
just
Johnny where he bit the dust or something like that, and it was like
it
from the
was so
1800s.
scary. But
Yeah,
okay, so we're driving,
there
we
were
see this
bats
grave site.
around us as well, like we thought we were lost on the trail. That
Hmm.
was scary.
But I had a good time. Like honestly, like looking back at it in retrospect, I'm like, that's a good memory. But anyways, we
That was
find
a
this
really
grave
good
site.
time.
We keep going. No, let's keep going. Then you find like a farmhouse. You know, you're like, oh, there's some light over here. It'll be fine. We could get off
Yeah.
and take pictures. And then as soon as we get out of the car, we hear like 3 bloodhounds just running at full sprint towards us.
They're rushing you, and I'm like, Frank, get in the car now. Like, and you're kind of like half processing what's happening.
Yeah.
And then you get in, and then you're like, okay, now I'm freaked out.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
You're tripping on acid, and now you're freaked out, and I'm freaked out, and I can't like really hold on to this like brave face anymore. And I'm like, when are we gonna stop? Like,
Mhm.
this is like 2 random occurrences that's like happening in this like in like the middle of nowhere. And
Yeah.
so like now I'm scared that like we're gonna get fucking possessed or something.
My thing is
Um
I backwards long jumped into the sea. I remember just opening and seeing the dogs just like whoop, and my heart
Little
was
Jade.
racing. We just kept going,
Right.
and eventually we find the crossroads at Iron Age Road.
At
Remember?
Iron Age Road, right? Like, and for context for other people, my wife's favorite restaurant is a Korean barbecue place named Iron Age. And so like I was like, Iron Age Road, that's
Yeah.
crazy. Right? There's nothing at Iron Age Road, mind you.
Yeah. It was all sand, but we
Yeah.
didn't know that at that point. So we pull over. We got some really beautiful shots. Remember I told you my method where it's like you turn the flash on and you get the front and then you get the back as it like loads in the rest of
Yes.
it. Like
And I actually found those photos. I could send them. You could probably put them in this area. And like we also took photos of the Milky Way as well. Like some of the Milky Way photos I got were like absolutely unbelievable.
and then like when a car would pass by, it would sound like a rocket ship. It's just I remember that.
Do you remember when we were in the park and the sun was setting, the way that the wind sounded though? I know this happened earlier in the day, but it
Yeah.
was like really eerie because there
Mhm.
was nothing else there. There wasn't much of an echo, and like the wind was like,
Yeah.
and it was like coming from a bunch of different places, and we heard like rustling and like whispering and shit. I was like, this is like getting scary. Like I want to get
Yeah,
out of
and it
here.
was funny because like I never like tried to like scare people or anything, but we were definitely talking about like mystical, magical stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah, I believe in the paranormal and superstitious and stuff like that. And I was like, the desert has its energy, and then like as soon as we were in there, it started like playing with us, if that makes any sense. It's like
Yeah,
whatever you get out of the land, it'll give to you. But
it's
anyways, we're
getting
taking all these
paranoid. Yeah.
we are taking all these pictures. It was beautiful. I mean, at first I was panicking. I remember like the flies were like this big and they would just like hit me in the face. Do you
Oh
remember
yeah.
that?
Yeah, because they were attracted to the light, and like, but it was so weird. Like, so all of that happened, right? And then at this intersection where Iron Age Road is, the main road is paved, right?
Mhm.
But Iron Age Road, like from what I can see, is like a mostly cobbled road Like it's not paved, but it looks on like a satellite, like on satellite images and like whatever was there for street view, it looks like a rocky road that like we could drive this like car in, which was incredibly stupid because I'm driving a sedan that I rented.
Mm-hmm.
I should never be driving a sedan in those conditions. I've done like off-roading like on beaches and whatnot, like with my friends before, and you need like a 4x4 vehicle and like 2x4s like to pull yourself out and whatnot. And we just had none of that. We just like decided to do this on a whim. And so like I remember telling you like, okay, we can try turning here to like get like a better look, which I don't even know why I did that because it's like it's not like the scenery is really going to change. And
Mm-hmm.
but I said like if we if we encounter sand, we have to go back. And
Yeah.
so what happened was I started moving and it was fine at first, but it was this weird area where it was exceptionally sandy, and somebody had put like wood plyboard right on top of this sand, and I guess the wind sort of like kicked it or something because it was not in place anymore. And so what happened was both our tires fell into the sand, like our front two tires, and then and it's not a 4x4 vehicle, so you can't pull yourself out with your back tires. And then the board, like that plywood board that got moved, got like sandwiched in between like the underside of like the car, and like we just couldn't move anymore. And so mind you, for anybody who's listening to this, we are about an hour and a half away from any civilization. We can barely see a light in the distance. If we start walking to get back, it's going to take us days to get back. Like we would die of thirst before that would happen. And
Mm-hmm.
so like when that happened, I was like, who the fuck is going to tow us out of here? And I think we were stuck there for like 3 hours.
We got there at like, I want to say we got there a little bit before midnight, and then we called a tow truck. Well, you called a tow
Like
truck person, and they kept
1:45.
yeah, they hung up like 3
They hung up
times.
on me 3 times. I forgot about this.
And then on the last one, they were like, "What do you want?" I was like, "Well, we're here. Can you help us?" And they're like, "I'm sending out a guy. He'll be there in like an hour." And so,
Yeah.
luckily, the only strange part, because I know people like, there's a lot of weird things in the desert. We had perfect phone reception in the middle of nowhere.
Right. And here's the insane part. In the desert, you expect it to be like like cold at night. It was perfectly, I remember because it was so bizarre. It was perfectly 72 degrees outside with no wind.
Mm-hmm.
It's the dead of night. And
I
it's like
loved it.
weirdly warm. It was like so comfortable outside, and like there was like not that many bugs as long as you just didn't have like lights out.
Yeah.
It was weird. It was
And then
so strange.
we were on Discord. Remember, we went into your Discord and we were hanging out. And we had to explain to your Discord.
No fucking idea what was like. I mean, might as well, right? Like I
Mm-hmm.
took photos, and like that's like how we passed the time. You're like obviously beyond freaked out at this point because it's like, are we going to get out of here? We're stuck in the
Mm-hmm.
middle of the desert. That is one of the craziest experiences I think I've ever had with a friend.
Yeah, and then also I'm high on acid, so like everything was just like
Yeah.
amplified. I One of my favorite quotes was, I was like looking up at the stars and I'm like, I'm high right now, but do they always twinkle? And you're like, that is
That,
so sad.
yeah, that did make me really sad because it like made me realize that you hadn't seen it like unless like under the influence.
Yeah.
But yeah, they do twinkle, and they are
Mhm.
like very beautiful. And so like I don't know, like I know that you were just asking that from like a genuine place, but like I was like, maybe I should take Frank like, like to something like this where like, he's not like tripping
Mhm.
balls on something, just so that he can get that experience. And if he wants to continue doing that, then like he can
I know,
do
I
it.
had a great time. Like I said, we should go to Texas whenever you have the time just to get
Big
the
Ben.
stars. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Sarah's dad also really wants to go to Big Bend. That's really
That sounds like
funny.
fun. Where is it in Texas? Because my sister just moved to Texas, so I'm trying to like plan a trip to Texas.
It's like massive, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, why'd your sister move to Texas out of all places?
Long story. Her
It's so hot
boyfriend's
there.
family, she got a house, so
Yeah.
she has a real estate
Gotcha.
out there now. But yeah.
Oh, okay. That makes sense now.
And then we waited an hour and a half. The guy shows up. He tows us out. He was like really chill too. Like he was like
It was
really
really nice.
understanding, and he was nice.
Yeah, he was like, I've seen this shit before. I've
Yeah,
seen this. Like,
like
I've
that's
seen
his
idiots
job.
like y'all. Yeah.
How much did it cost? Like $300?
Yes, and that's the crazy part about this. It was not that much.
Yeah.
Like, usually for things like that, because like I like remember telling my dad about this, and he's like, "You're very lucky that like they
Yeah.
did this for you because usually like getting you out of a situation like that is gonna cost you at least $1,000."
Yeah.
So they were very nice about it all, like all things
Yeah.
considered. Yeah, but just the lady on like the phone was like, maybe she was just like she didn't want to pick up unless it was like an actual emergency, but she literally picked up the phone like, "What?"
Yeah. That was crazy.
Yeah.
But, I guess they're used to that. But yeah, we ended up going back, we got into the hot tub, and yeah, that was, our
We
Joshua
were
Tree adventure.
exhausted by the time we were in the hot tub, so we were, like, only half enjoying it.
Mhm. I was, like,
Yeah, that was
definitely,
fun.
like, on some sort of bullshit. But then the next day, we ended up going to the park, and we had a really good time just going through the park.
Yeah. I
We
love
went to
nature, I love touching
Coachella.
grass.
I kinda wanna show y'all Palm Springs. Palm Springs is really beautiful. Like, me and,
Palm
Mario
Springs.
went in and hiked out there, but they have, like, a lot of mid-century modern Hollywood stuff. It's, like, really interesting. It's like a little getaway
Okay.
for the LA rich people.
Is Palm Springs where they have this, like, canyon that, like, has, like, a lot of, like, palm trees kinda, like, wrapped around it that, like, you can kinda, like, take, like, a long trail
Yeah,
on?
it's an oasis.
Yeah, yeah, I've always wanted to go there, I've seen photos of it, it's so beautiful.
Yeah, so,
Also
if you
because
ever
aren't they, like or aren't isn't that like a big gay city?
well, yeah, they have, nude
I know
resorts
what you
for
are.
yeah, well, I love it there for a reason. It's very much of its time too. It's like everything's mid-century modern. It's like the '50s never died.
Mm. Okay, I'm gonna go there and live out my dream of being a repressed housewife that does meth in her free time.
There you go. One of my okay, so speaking of queerness in Palm Springs, one of the things that actually made me like kind of emotional was I saw like an old gay couple holding hands walking down the street. And
Aw.
that clicked to me that I have never seen that in my life. Like I was
Yeah. You don't see a lot of and that's the other sad thing about it. You don't see a whole lot of, like, older, like, elderly, like, trans people.
yeah.
That's really sad. That's really sad, like, and scary, like, because it's just, like, they're just people, you know?
Yeah.
And so, like but I hope that, like I really do hope that, you know, even with, like, all of this, like, repression and the fascist bullshit that's been happening,
Mhm.
um, that I think that, like, society has, like, changed, at least, like, certain parts of Western society have, like, changed in such, like such massive ways that you'll always have people that are haters, right? But I don't think that those people are going to like they're going to like have the majority consensus. It's rather a part of like a very loud minority, and I think like that
Yeah.
the vast majority of people they're just focused on their own lives. They don't really
Mhm.
care about this. And like also anybody who's LGBTQ is just focused on their lives. They're just living, you know?
Like, one of the things I think is interesting is, like, especially within our generation, is, like, we forget, like, how much the world has changed in the last 50 years. Like, I was
Massive.
interviewing my friend, Initial Re, and one of the things that, like, kind of blows my mind is she was born, like, late '70s, started DJing in, like, 2000.
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
uh-huh,
He
and,
does not look like that. That's
well,
crazy.
Asian don't
Yeah, go on.
raisin. But, the thing that, like, blew my mind that started making me go like, "What the fuck?" is, her and her partner got married in 2008.
Oh, okay, I
Do
see.
you know what that means? She was actually one of the first lesbian marriage couples in the United States.
Yeah, because that's when gay marriage, like,
Yeah, and,
became, like,
like, she's
really
just my
legalized.
friend, but the more I think about it, I'm like, "Oh my god, that's actually pretty historic." And then
When
also,
you think
like
about it, it happened not too long ago.
mhm. And then another thing too is like me and Marion are technically an interracial couple. We couldn't have gotten married until like maybe the '70s or '80s. Like that
Neither
was
would me
outlawed.
and Sarah.
Yeah. And it's like these things like we're all nostalgic about the '80s and '70s with our, samples and stuff. And now people are in the 2000s, but like we don't realize that a small period before we were born, the AIDS epidemic was happening. All this stuff was
Yeah.
happening that we didn't experience, but it's like our generation is here to create our own past and create our own stories and create our own narratives. And it's like we are changing the globe whether we know it or not.
I think that, like, people are more accepting than they
Yeah.
used to be, and I think that more people are willing to understand that, like, the differences that that we have like as people like are far less than the similarities that we all share with one another. And I think that's the most important thing, like in and that's also like is it allows people, I think, to also get perspectives of other people's like lived experience, in ways that they otherwise would have never been able to have. Like, I don't know what it
Yeah.
means to be a Black person. Like, I don't know
Mhm.
that, right? But I can empathize with like their experience, and I can listen to them, and like we can also like learn from people that don't quite look like us, right?
Yeah.
And that's something that like I constantly embody. And it's also something that like really fucking annoys me when it comes to like with like the context. Like, I'm sorry to be the woker here. I'm serious, but like, you know, you'll sample Black music, right? Like a lot of disco, funk, R&B, and like rock and roll also comes from like the blues. And like, and then like say some like stupid shit. Like
Mhm.
they're all criminals or something like that. Like, that's crazy. Like, that's crazy. Don't forget, like, that like for a lot of these people, a lot of these like kids online that are like flipping like samples and whatnot, if it wasn't for those people like existing and being around and like sharing their talent with other people, you would not be doing this.
Yeah.
So put some respect on it. That's it. They're just
Yeah.
people.
To be understanding, be aware, and it is now we've been talking for an hour and 38 minutes. Do you want to have any closing remarks? Because I know you have somewhere to be.
Yes, I do. Thank you again. This has been really fun.
Yeah.
I feel like I could yap with you for 3 hours. Maybe not more though. Maybe it'd be too much for me. No, I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah.
kidding.
We have
I'm
to.
usually the one that's yapping though.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, I have some stuff. I'm working right now on like a 2-part album. It sort of started as like the spiritual successor to 20 like Fibre 2014, 2016,
Mhm.
that I hope to have out this year. One of the tracks that's on that is a supernatural club edit, that you actually you're featured on it. You did saxophone for that,
Yeah.
and I played that out at like so many gigs last year.
Mhm.
And so like I'm trying to sort of finalize that. I have like a couple of things. Like, I have some like virtual world remixes, and like I'm probably gonna try to get rid of like the remaining like rendezvous records that I still have. But like beyond that, I'm really just looking, towards the future. I think that like so much of my career up until this point has been like about living in the past and about like nostalgia. And I think
Mhm.
that like now I'm very like, the more that like I proceed with life, the more that I care less to be nostalgic about things. And
Mhm.
so that's, I think, where musically like I'll be going. Like, I'll be going into more of a direction like that. And like really just like exploring, personal topics like in like that album about, identity, right?
Yeah.
Maybe like who I am as a person, what I do, who I was raised as, like, things like gender identity and all that stuff. So I'm very excited to share it. And I have stuff even beyond that, but that's kind of just what I'm locked in on.
Awesome. Well, I can't
Yeah.
wait to see what
Thank
the future holds for Fibre.
thank you so much, Frank. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate you too. Well, thank you for coming by. See you in the next
Later.
episode.
Bye. It happened again. All right. Thank you again. It means a lot. Thank you. All right. Bye.
Mhm.